All right, Coach, it's always fun to go to nationals every season. It's an opportunity to win a national championship. This week it's an opportunity to win 7 national championships. I know that the team is excited to be here, and you feel like your team has really ridden their best at the end of the season.
Yeah, we've worked extremely hard in the last couple of weeks. I know that we've had some marathon practices. I know our girls have taken some opportunities to have their own practices, actually, which has been great. I think it's given them an opportunity to relax a little bit. I think they're as prepared as they can possibly be. One of the things that we've talked to them about is how hard they've worked all year, and it's kind of like studying for an exam, that they've gotten to the point now where you can only study so much, and you've just really got to go on out there and get it done. So that's kind of where we are right now, and so they're here, they're excited, they're ready to go, the horses are ready to go, so we're really looking forward to a great week.
With the fact that you've got new titles to compete for this year, do you feel as if your preparation has changed at all, or compared to previous seasons?
I don't really think so. We've had to think a lot harder about event versus a team championship, and for us, I think one of the things that we like to do is one of the fun things for us is we've got a little more depth this year on the hunt seat side. I think on the western side, Coach Sorrell is pretty happy with her team as far as who she's got. Although when you go down to 4 versus 5, I think it makes it very difficult, and so we do have 5 very solid performers on the western side, but we've got it narrowed down to 4 that we're very comfortable with as far as that we'll be competing in the event and the team competition to start with, and then we'll see where we are from there. On the hunt seat side, though, we are just totally up in the air. I think when at the end of SECs, we were like, okay, we know exactly who we have that are going to do the 4 positions on the flat and over fences. And then as we got into practice and got through the couple of weeks after SECs, it really changed, and we really did use those 2 weeks to say, okay, who are going to be our starters? And so the fun thing for us is that you don't want to say we get 2 shots at it, but at the same time we're able to we're very much competing different people, and so we've got a different group competing in the team champion, not a totally different group, but a couple of different people competing in the team championship versus the event championship in the first round, and we're counting on moving on in both, and when we move on in both, then we will see how those folks competed, and I think we'll choose our team from there.
In the individual events, you guys are so used to competing against so many of your opponents pretty often during the regular season, but in the events, that's not the case, at least for the teams that you're matched up with. TCU in flat and reining is a team that you did not face at all this year. Baylor, you did obviously ride against them, but there was no jumping. So there's a new dynamic, I guess, for the fact that you're facing pretty much all unique opponents to start those event championships.
Yeah, I think that's what makes the event championships fun for us. When you go up against Georgia in the team championships, we have competed against them 3 times already. And so that we know what we're going up against, and we're bring it is where we are, and we're ready to compete against them once again. You never know where you're going to end up. We're ready to compete. We know Georgia is a very competitive team. Certainly they're the #1 team in the country, so we know we have our work cut out for us, but we feel like we can compete with them, and we're ready to go out there and give it our best. I think when you look at the event championship, when we competed at TCU, we haven't seen this year, so we're excited to go and compete against them. I think that's going to be a great competition for both of our teams that are competing with them. And then I think when you look at with Baylor, we were basically in the big giant nor'easter where the winds were blowing at 70 miles an hour, and it was snowing and sleeting, and arenas were blowing over and things like that, and our girls handled it beautifully, and Baylor handled it beautifully, and Delaware State handled it beautifully, but I think that the circumstances were extenuating. So I don't think that we were able to show at our best. I don't think Baylor was able to show at their best. So I think for us, we're looking at it as that we've really not competed for real against Baylor before. So even though we have, so we're going out there and just treat it like a new competition, and we're excited about it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun competing against both of those schools. And I mean, it's, you know, Baylor's hosting, is their home turf, so it will also be a difficult competition for us, but we're excited about it. You know, it's so much fun to come down here and compete, and we're really looking forward to it.
You brought horses to the national championship. How do you balance preparing the horses and preparing your team to compete?
Well, it's tough. I think when you bring horses, and I think our horses, I think Fresno State's horses travel the furthest, and ours are second. And it takes our horse about 22 hours to get here, and we brought more horses this year than we've ever brought, and I think a lot of teams brought more horses than they've ever brought, and so we have 12 here competing. So it will be, we have 7 Western horses and 5 hunt seat horses, and so it's a hard balance, because you have to be careful that you're not overworking your horses that are going to the championship, and we don't have a lot. We have 26 horses, half are Western, half are hunt seat, so we don't have the luxury of having 60 horses and we're going to ride this one this week or today, and we'll ride this one tomorrow. You know, these horses that we have, they have to work. They go out there and they're working every day, so we have to be very careful with who we were jumping when, who we were reining when, and how our practices went. So I think we did a great job. I know Coach Terbisi and Coach Sorrell did a great job with managing practices with the horses to make sure we didn't work them very hard. I do think we worked our student athletes very hard, so they did a great job. They were very enthusiastic, very positive. They got the job done, and so it's a hard balance, but we've done it enough that we know how to do it. We've kind of got a rhythm with it, and I think we did a pretty good job with it. And I think the girls are here, the horses are here, they're all ready to rock and roll. So we're ready to go.
Your seniors that you brought with you this year are the last student athletes still on the team from your last national championship. A couple of them even rode in the NCEA championship, including obviously the championship match victory back in 2015. There aren't many teams here that have that kind of experience, so how can you lean on what those student athletes experienced 3 years ago and maybe use that to get a little extra juice this week?
Well, I think that it's hard because we had a very strong team, and we've been doing a lot of rebuilding. We've also had a couple of new assistant coaches on the hunt seat side. And so I think anytime you go through a transition, and we do have a new hunt seat coach this year, this is her first year, but with Coach Terbisi, she was on 2 overall national championship teams, as well as way back when we had a hunt seat championship during that time as well, and she was on that team as well. So she knows the feeling of being on a championship team. However, I think that you want those girls to give the feeling to the others of what it is like to win a national championship. But I think they just have to want it, and they also have to feel like they can achieve it. And the one thing this team, and I know our record isn't great, and that's all good and fine, but I think if you really look at our record, you'll see that that each girl, and sometimes it looks like we've been blown out, but if you really look at the point losses and you look at the scores, sometimes it might be a big loss, but very often if you look at the scores against each other, on the Western side, somebody lost, they lost by a point here or half a point there. And on the hunt seat side, it's the same thing, a point here, a couple of points there. And sometimes we've lost, but it really is, I feel like we're so close. But the neatest thing about this team is that there's just not a quit in this team. Every time they get knocked down and they get right back up, and they firmly believe that they can win no matter what. And that's what I love about this team. And we could be they could all be sulking, they could all be back there with a bad attitude saying, you know, why are we here? We hate this place, you know, we don't want to compete, whatever. But they are not. They are excited, they're ready to go, and they firmly believe that they have the ability to win a national championship. So I think that's what our seniors have given to this team this year, is the knowledge that they that no matter what, you get back up and you keep going, and yes, you do have the ability and the opportunity to win a national championship.